5 steps for Scrum Masters to influence leadership to facilitate cultural change. You're a Scrum Master and you want to influence the culture of the organisation. And that's undoubtedly going to involve influencing people in higher leadership levels to support or even champion different ways of working and also cultural change. It's tricky. There's no getting away from it. It's a challenge for Scrum Masters. And you won't find these skills taught in any standard Scrum Master courses. I'm Jeff Watts, and in this video I'm going to share some simple techniques from our Scrum Mastery pathway that'll help you coach leaders towards supporting a more agile culture throughout the organisation from wherever you are in the hierarchy. Now you're going to need to follow these 5 steps. First of all, identify where the influence is, then build relationships with those people, align agile approaches to strategic organisational goals, and align agile approaches to the personal goals of those people. And then finally, sprinkle in a little bit of behavioural science to your influencing. Identify the influential leaders. Understanding the real decision-making power and influence within an organisation is crucial, I think, for effectively navigating the dynamics of that organisation. And an obvious place to start is the formal organisational hierarchy, where there's reporting lines and departmental divisions. Now, the official structure won't reveal all of the sources of power, but it will give you an initial understanding of the landscape, the key decision makers, their areas of responsibility. But we're going to have to look a little bit deeper than that and look at the nuances to influence and power as well. Informal networks play a significant role in decision making and influence, so look out for cross-departmental connections, friendships, alliances that go beyond those formal reporting lines. They can give you valuable insights into the flow of information and influence within the organisation. Pay attention to how information is shared and who's involved in important conversations. There are probably some people who are involved and consulted regularly, whose opinions are sought after. These people often sway decisions, so that can help you pinpoint those influential people who might not hold formal authority. Because a lot of people can significantly impact decision-making and culture, even without formal authority. They might be subject matter experts, they might just be highly respected employees, or charismatic individuals with really strong interpersonal skills. Identify them and you can understand where the real power lies. You could look back at the outcomes of previous decisions, previous projects, identify who was involved and look for patterns in the decision-making and the recurring individuals who consistently seem to be involved in driving or influencing the outcomes. You could look and talk to other people who've been in the organisation for a longer time than you. They might have different insights into the dynamics of power and the influential individuals within the organisation. Have a look at who receives recognition, who gets rewarded within the organisation, both formally and informally, because that can give you clues about who holds the power and influence, as well as the values that drive decision-making. And we'll come back to that again later on in more detail. If you have the opportunity, attend company events, social gatherings, where you can observe interactions between people, because that can help you understand the relationships and the dynamics that influence decision-making within the organisation. These are just some techniques that will help you get a better understanding of where the decision-making power and influence lies within your organisation. And once you know who those people are, you can start to build relationships with them. Now, first thing I want to say about this is it's all too easy to look at the people in positions of power as people who are disconnected from the day-to-day, or people who make life harder for the real working people because of opaque decision-making or shifting strategies or changing priorities. In reality, though, I haven't met many leaders who deliberately want their people to suffer or fail. And actually, when we think about it, those leaders often have their own challenges that we're really not aware of. So my first tip is to build relationships with those people by empathizing with the difficult position that they are likely in. There's a good chance that they've got market-driven targets, for example. And there's a good chance they might worry about losing face by adopting a new way of working. So show genuine curiosity about their challenges. If you can, ask open-ended questions so that you get their real perspective, their real concerns. And through active listening, you'll be able to get some really valuable insights into their perspective and what benefits they might see from agile methods. And that's really key. We're going to come back to that later on as well. The point here really is to start building stronger and more collaborative relationships between you and the people in those positions of power and influence. And that can be tough especially if you don't get to interact with these people on a regular basis. But there are a number of things that you can do to establish those connections and foster your relationships. I've already mentioned to try going to internal networking events so that you can interact with them in a more casual settings, allowing you to introduce yourself, start conversations. You could even reach out to them and explicitly ask for some time to learn from their experience or understand their perspectives. Try scheduling a brief informal meeting or a coffee chat so that you can discuss some shared interests and learn about their vision for the organisation and what they're trying to achieve. You could even try asking people to be your mentor or sponsor. You could identify some senior leaders who've got a similar passion for agile ways of working, which could provide you some really valuable insights, guidance, even advocacy in promoting your agile ideas within the organisation. Maybe something as simple as just creating awareness about the benefits of agile approaches. You could share your team's achievements, any lessons learned, and any good practices that you've picked up through any kind of internal communication channels that you've got, maybe some newsletters or intranet platforms. Maybe even volunteer to give a presentation at a leadership meeting about some successes that you've had with Agile. Establish yourself as a bit of a subject matter expert in the area. Give them a channel, an opportunity for more direct interaction with you. And if you can attribute the success to leadership rather than yourself, then you've got even more chance of further support in the future. I'm not going to pretend that getting access to the movers and the shakers within your organisation is going to be easy, so don't worry if you can't. Just form strong relationships with anybody who works closely with those people. Influence the people who influence. And remember, be patient, be persistent, because building relationships, especially with senior people, takes time. So keep on showcasing your expertise, your successes, and keep on looking for opportunities to engage. The next thing you're going to need to do is build trust in Agile. Anything new is immediately, instinctively suspicious to us. So remember that those senior leaders have achieved significant success in their careers, often from adopting very different ways of working. Now, some of them might realise that what got them here isn't going to get them there, but other people will be almost addicted to their successful ways of working from the past. Now, we can help people out of that, but to do that, we're going to need to build trust in the alternative, our agile ways of working. And the first tip I can give you here is try not to come across as overly zealous or evangelical about agile. The point is not agile. It's what agile can do for us. So focus on how agile approaches can help the organization succeed. Now, to do that, you're going to need to understand what the organization's strategy is, what opportunities there are to experiment with agile methods to help push that strategy forward. Now, the good news is that in my experience, agile approaches have got something to offer almost any organizational strategy that I've come across. The key is positioning agile approaches to those goals. So we're going to start with some organizational strategy alignment. When building trust in agile, I think it's essential to select the right metrics and then visualize the impact of any agile experiments that we've got to those metrics. So first of all, avoid output metrics like team velocity, and instead try and focus on more strategic outcome metrics like value delivery, reducing cost of delay, measuring learning, innovation, customer satisfaction, these types of things. And if you can incorporate those metrics into your agile experiments, you can demonstrate the value of agile approaches to senior leadership in their world. So do your research, find out what sort of metrics are important to the strategic goals of the organization and align with those. Now, here are a few examples that you might be able to align with. Time to market. Looking at how much time it's taken from project initiation or feature initiation to project launch or feature deployment. Start gathering some data on how quickly we can gather feedback, deliver value, deploy new ideas using agile approaches. Customer satisfaction. Agile approaches focus on delivering value to the customer and incorporating their feedback throughout the development process. So measuring customer satisfaction could show how agile approaches help lead to better alignment with customer needs and higher overall customer satisfaction. You could look at return on investment and the financial return of projects completed using agile approaches, or reduced cost of delay because we can get value quicker, incrementally, and we can adjust priorities based on customer feedback to minimize the cost of delay. employee engagement and satisfaction or other metrics that Agile approaches could help see improve. Through more collaborative and supportive work environments, you get people who are more engaged, more satisfied, higher retention rates, higher morale, higher productivity. So maybe have a look at that. Agile approaches encourage innovation, experimentation, and learning. So maybe look at measuring the number of new ideas or new features or new products. You could look at the quality of the products or the features that we're delivering using Agile ways of working and seeing whether delivering fewer things but to a higher definition of done could have a positive impact on things like defect rates or user issues or system stability. Whatever the strategic metrics are in your organization, incorporating them into your Agile experiments and showing their positive impact, you can help influence senior leadership by helping them recognize the potential value of Agile approaches to the organization's goals. Now, as well as our organizational strategic goals, all of the senior leaders that we've identified here have got personal goals. They've got personal drivers, and we can align with them and perhaps even amplify them if we help them see the benefits they have by supporting a more agile culture. So if we can identify those goals and drivers, and that could well be from just paying attention to the things that they get passionate about or have operational responsibility for, then we can connect them to agile principles and give them a real personal reason for championing agility. Some common leadership values and drivers include legacy and impact. Quite often, senior leaders will want to leave a lasting positive impact on the organisation, and by promoting agile approaches, they could foster a culture of continuous improvement, innovation, adaptability, and that could be their legacy, their impact. Some leaders care about empowering other people, empowering teams, and agile approaches obviously encourage that. So we can emphasize how agile approaches will encourage decentralization of decision making, encouraging self-organization, cross-functional collaboration, so that the teams take ownership of their work, which leads to higher engagement and motivation. Perhaps their values are around customer centricity. So leaders who really care about delivering value to customers can really benefit from aligning their goals with agile approaches, because this way of working prioritizes customer feedback and adapting quickly to changing customer needs. Or maybe their focus is around business resilience. Many leaders are concerned with their organization's ability to adapt and thrive in complex and rapidly changing business environments. And of course, agile approaches enable organizations to respond more quickly to market changes and seize opportunities and mitigate risks. Whatever their goals and drivers are, understanding and appealing to them will help you help them become the leader they aspire to be by supporting and championing agile ways of working.
Now, finally, we need to leverage the behavioral science of influence.
To minimize resistance, understanding how people make decisions, what influences them, is really, really valuable. And I've gathered a bunch of psychological factors that can help you influence and persuade people in my persuasion pack. But as a quick starter, consider these simple influencing techniques. First of all, build rapport through sameness. We tend to like people who are like us. So increase your likability and influence factor by amplifying the areas and the values that you've got in common with the person or people you're trying to influence. You can leverage the power of storytelling. The human brain is hardwired to respond to stories. So share some compelling stories about the success of agile approaches. That way you can engage people emotionally and make them more receptive to your message. The more vivid the examples and the narratives, the better. Use social proof. We're hardwired to follow the behaviours of others, especially when we're unsure what to do. If other people have done it, it's less risky for us to do it. So share examples of other successful organisations or leaders who they might respect, who've adopted agile approaches, and emphasise the positive outcomes that they've got. Offer choice. Maintain their autonomy, because people are more likely to support initiatives when they feel they've got a sense of choice and control. Now, it's unlikely that you're going to be in a position where you can force a senior leader to adopt what you want them to adopt. But if they feel backed into a corner, then they will resist simply to preserve their autonomy. So try presenting multiple options or approaches and allow those people to select the ones that they find most appealing or suitable. Don't give up. We need repetition and reinforcement to learn and adopt new behaviours. We also need that repetition and reinforcement to realise and internally accept that this is normal. The more we hear something, the more normal it appears to us. So over-communicate the benefits of agile approaches, over-communicate success stories, keep that message top of mind without becoming like a broken record. And the final neuroscience tip is to simplify complex information. we're more likely to engage with and remember information that's easy to understand. Just because they're more senior doesn't mean they like buzzwords more. So break down complex concepts into simple, digestible messages. Use visual aids if you can, analogies, metaphors to convey your ideas.
So in conclusion, by building relationships with influential leaders, fostering trust in agile methods, aligning with the strategic goals of the organization and the leader's values and drivers, using influencing techniques from behavioral science, Scrum Masters can encourage cultural change at higher leadership levels for greater agility. Now remember, as a Scrum Master, your role is vital in promoting agile ways of working and fostering a more agile culture. Naturally, it won't happen overnight, and sometimes the seeds that you plant won't take root until much later, even after you might have left the organization, but that shouldn't stop you from taking whatever steps you can right now. Good luck.